What's up, y'all? It's 10 at 3 time in Tennessee. How are you? Hope you're well. Hope everything in your life is going well here on this Tuesday, November 25th, 2025 edition, 11/25/25. Got a new producer in with us today. We got Gage in there, and I'm going to make him talk at some point today. I'm going to go ahead and get out of the way now. Will you go ahead and say hello to everyone, because I'm going to make you do it.
Hi, everybody. It's me.
There you go.
I don't want to talk, but he's going to make me.
There you go. That's the rule. I've said this from the beginning. The rule is, if you're in here, you're part of the show. That's the rule. If you're in this room, if you're hanging out with us, you're with us. If you're here, if you're in the building, in the room, when that door shuts, you're fair game.
And the door's shut.
And the door did shut. We did make sure the door shut. Sometimes when you shut that door, doesn't want to shut all the way. But that's all right. We got a lot to talk about today, guys. There's a lot of Tennessee basketball to talk about. Obviously, there's a big game tonight. The Vols playing Houston. That's a rematch of last year's Elite Eight, where Houston just sort of out-fought Tennessee, out-wrestled Tennessee, played Tennessee's brand of ball better than Tennessee played it, and had a better team, and won the game, and then nearly went on to win the national championship. But a lot of those guys from Houston are back, and some of those guys from Tennessee are back, but Tennessee's got a new look roster. Houston got some newcomers as well. Big game, 6 p.m. Eastern between the third-ranked Houston Cougars and the 17th-ranked Tennessee Volunteers. If you're looking at national title odds, by the way, this is about where they are, too. Houston right now, I think, has the third best odds to win the title, and Tennessee right there around tied for 20th. So this is sort of what most people believe these teams are right now. I said from the beginning, when Tennessee was ranked 23rd, I said I didn't think there were 22 teams better than Tennessee. When Tennessee right now was ranked 20th, I said I don't think there's 19 teams better than those Volunteers, and now the Tennessee's ranked 17th in the AP poll. I'm going to say again, I don't think there are 16 teams better than this Tennessee basketball team. Those could be famous last words of a fool, right? Because first off, it's November. I said off the top, November 25th. So what happens today and in the next week, because Tennessee's schedule is about to kick up in a big way. Going to have another players era tournament game on Wednesday or Thursday in Vegas, then go to Syracuse, play in the Carrier Dome, then go to Nashville to play 13th-ranked Illinois. Then just after that, a little bit of a break, come back home and play 6th-ranked Louisville. So we're going to find out a lot more about Tennessee in a hurry. Now, what we find out is going to be a lot, but it's not going to be everything because there's a tremendous amount of basketball to play. So I could sit here and say, I don't think there's 16 teams better than Tennessee, and then Houston just wipes the floor with them today. And ha, Wes, you idiot, right? Like that could happen. That's fine. Or Tennessee could go out there and it could be a close game, or Tennessee could win this game. Bruce Pearl picked Tennessee to win the tournament, by the way, for whatever that's worth, even though Auburn's playing in the thing. So, again, is he a little reverse jinx in there? What's old Bruce up to? But I think if this is a close game, if Tennessee wins it, you're going to have a lot of people saying, oh, well, of course there's not 16 teams better than these Tennessee Volunteers. Either way, it does not really matter right now. It'd be nice if it's a good game. That's what we all want to see, right? We all want to see a good game. But there's a lot of basketball ahead of Tennessee, and we'll talk a little bit more about that game later. Also, we joke at times on this program about going around through the newsroom using the cameras that we have to do what I call a cup check, which is who's working, who's not working, who's working, the old cup check. Jauan Jennings last night, boy, he got an authentic cup check. If you've missed that, oh boy. Former Tennessee star Jauan Jennings, now with the 49ers. Last night, the 49ers beat the Carolina Panthers 20-9. And if you've not seen this, first off, watch the rest of this program or split screen while you're doing it. But a Panther safety by the name of Trayvon Moehrig, I got to think of a family-friendly way to put this. He punched Jauan Jennings in an area where a man does not want to be punched, ever, or kicked, or grazed. Because these guys, you think they wear cups. They don't. None of them do. None of them do. Most of them in high school don't. Almost none of them in college do. Even fewer at the NFL level do it. I don't know why. Aerodynamics, comfort, whatever. I can't imagine. When I played catcher, dude, it was not even an option. Like, you were a psycho. And there are people now, like major league catchers, college catchers, minor league catchers, who don't wear them. And listen, I'm not going to tell anybody how to feel. I'm not going to tell anybody how to live their life. I'm not going to tell anybody to do anything. I'll just tell you what I think, which is that not wearing a cup is psychotic behavior. And anyways, last night, Jauan Jennings, he got punched in the beanbag, ladies and gentlemen. That's what happened. And so after the game, he goes over to, when they're doing the handshakes at the end of the game, you know, the daps, the, hey, good game, fellas, all that. He does not dap up Trayvon Mulrig. He throws hands at him. And at the time, a lot of people are going, was Jauan just being a psycho? Because we can't rule that out. Jauan's a competitive guy. He'll fist fight you over a game of trash can basketball. He will. He's a competitive guy. Sometimes, especially when he was younger, those emotions would get the best of him. Nearly got him kicked off out of the program, but stupidly, but almost did. Then Jeremy Pruitt comes in, gives him another chance. Smart, doesn't have many good players. There's one of them. He needs him. Things work out. Things work out. But then, you just see the video. And at the time, you're going, why is he doing this? Didn't take long after that, I found out why he was doing it. And if the NFL suspends Jauan Jennings for throwing hands at somebody that attacked his coin pouch, then that's insane. If you want to fine him, go ahead and fine him. That's fine, whatever. You don't need to be fighting. You don't need to be fighting. We get that. But I don't know how anyone, especially a man, could sit there and say, oh, Jennings is in the wrong there. You can't. Listen, man, we all know things happen in a fumble pile. We all know things happen in a fumble pile, right? That's just, it's unfortunate. And if you don't know, there's a really, really interesting video that I think actually I should have thought about this ahead of time. We may have been able to access it because it was on PFT. It was basically, it was Mike Florio and Devin McCourty. And they were talking about a fumble pile. And everybody knows in a fumble pile, everybody knows. You go in a fumble pile, squeeze your legs as close as you can together, close your eyes, close your mouth. We all know this. I mean, from the time that you play football when you're a kid, we were taught that. Like, hey, eyes closed, mouth closed, protect yourself in the midriff. But Devin McCourty in this video went a step further. Said when he played, they were told to also clench the cheeks. I didn't know that. And I'm only comfortable talking about it here because, frankly, NBC and its affiliates also played it. So I guess like we're okay to talk about this. I didn't know you had to do that too. I didn't know that was part of the arrangement. That's insane. It's a sidebar to what we're talking about now, but that's noteworthy. I didn't know that. But that's a thing. So back on topic. You can't fine, I guess you can do whatever you want. You really should not be fining someone for going after somebody who punched him where Jauan Jennings got punched. And there's a little bit of a precedent in the NFL now. There was the whole spitting incident with Jamar Chase, and Jalen Ramsey was not punished because he had been spit on for going back at him. So there's a precedent in between that and then between the Lions player who got suspended for a game for fighting afterward for a game. So maybe you can fine him but not suspend him. And that could break while we're sitting here talking. So if that comes out and I notice it, we'll talk about it. But I just can't imagine. I cannot imagine that you would suspend somebody for a game for that. Once you see the video, I don't see how you can go, yeah, suspend him. Yeah, suspend him. You can't be doing that. Dude, there's a reason why he did it. And if you don't understand that reason, you don't need to be running a sports league. That's crazy. And honestly, not the craziest thing that happened in sports yesterday, because if you didn't see this while you're Googling things, that Everton-Manchester United soccer game yesterday across the pond, an Everton player got red carded for slapping his own teammate during a game, which I think is like the third time that's happened in the past 30 or 40 years. I didn't know, first off, that you could, I guess, be red carded for that. But anyway, I thought yesterday that'd be the craziest thing that you'd see. And it was, but the Jauan Jennings thing was pretty close. And by the way, if he does get suspended for a game, that would take a lot of that would make Sunday's Niners-Browns game about 33% less VFL-ish, because that's supposed to be Sunday 1 p.m. Eastern, Niners at the Browns. And as you know, Dylan Sampson and Cedric Tillman play for the Browns. So if Jennings is not allowed to play in that football game, it'll be 33% less VFL. It'll be VFL light. Not VFL 0, but VFL light. And if you didn't see this too, Dylan Sampson got a touchdown, about a 65, 70-yard touchdown reception from Shadur Sanders the other day, where he again showed you the speed that was like, it would have been nice to see him play against Ohio State last year. It would have been nice. Would it have changed the outcome of the game? I mean, I don't think Tennessee would have won. I really don't. But it would have been more interesting if you had the SEC Offensive Player of the Year able to do anything more than get one carry and go, oh, this leg's bad enough, I can't do anything. It would have been nice to see that. Would have been nice to see him play in the game. But he's playing for the Browns now. His legs look good now. And Cedric Tillman, there's a good picture online circulating of Cedric Tillman celebrating the touchdown with Dylan Sampson, and that was kind of a neat moment. Former college teammates getting it done in the league. Bunch of them this year doing that, as per usual. But I hope that Jauan Jennings gets to play, because if not, that's wrong. It's wrong. Don't suspend a man for that. Don't suspend a man for that. But since we're already talking about some controversial football players, let's go ahead and talk about Diego Pavia and the Vanderbilt Commodores. Because that game, as you know, coming up 3:30 p.m. Eastern on Saturday on one of our competitors' networks. That will be a big, big game. Tennessee against Vanderbilt. The best Vanderbilt team that I can remember ever. I mean, you look at this history, it's crazy. Every year, when Tennessee plays Vanderbilt, or at least almost every year, I look at that series history and just chuckle a little, because they don't agree. There's a lot of series in college football where teams don't agree on how many times they've played, because was this a game back in the day or was this not? Hey, technically maybe you had this one vacated, or we're counting it and you're not. It happens more often than you think. Tennessee and Vanderbilt is that way. Tennessee and Alabama is that way. There's other series that are that way, where there are slight discrepancies in the paperwork depending on who you're asking about the overall series. I think it's kind of neat, actually, because there's part of my brain that just wants everything to be uniform like that. Like, no, there's a record. What's the record? What's the number? I'm a journalist. I have to know what the actual numbers are. And then there's the other part of me. It's like, it's kind of funny that they don't like each other to the extent that they can't even agree on how many times they've played. That's pretty funny. But anyways, Tennessee's version of the record is Tennessee 81, Vanderbilt 32, 5 ties. Pretty lopsided, 81, 32, and 5. But then you go back and remember, wait, hold on. Wasn't General Robert Neyland hired back in the day because he couldn't beat Vanderbilt? Wasn't he hired because he couldn't beat Vanderbilt? Yes, that's why he was hired. Because the first 24 games of this series, Vanderbilt 19, Tennessee 2, 3 ties. So that means since then, after those first 24 games, this series is actually Tennessee 79, Vanderbilt 13, 2 ties. That's what it's been basically since just before, I guess, World War II. The interwar period. And some historians think they need to stop calling it World War I and World War II because it's not like it was peaceful in the middle. That's another topic for another day. This isn't BBC. But regardless, what we know of as those eras, what I'm saying now is between those two. 79, 13, and 2. Wild. So, if you're Tennessee, you do and you should feel a certain type of way about Vanderbilt becoming a threat. You don't want that. Now, sitting here as a journalist, someone who's covered the SEC for a long time, I think it's great. I've always thought it would be great if Vanderbilt would get its act together in football because in-state rivalries are fun. In-state rivalries where both teams can actually beat the other, those are super fun. You know, the Iron Bowl a lot of times, right? You think of things like the Egg Bowl, like some of these things. Tennessee-Vanderbilt's always been like they don't like each other. That's clear. We know that. But for the most part, there were those couple years where James Franklin's at Vanderbilt and they're doing a couple things and they win a couple games. But historically, it's Tennessee kind of being that older brother who keeps the hand on the head and the little brother just swings, but his arms aren't long enough to connect. And I think Tennessee fans have grown comfortable with that existence. And I would too, in their shoes, by the way. I don't blame them at all for that. As a journalist, I'm thinking, hey, Vanderbilt gets better. This is kind of fun. This is kind of fun. Now going into this game, if Tennessee had beaten either Georgia, Oklahoma, or Bama, just win one of those three, and two of the three were won, and they lost them, had no business losing them. And the third one, that's a fair loss, but one really horrible play at the end of the second quarter, final play of the first half changed the whole thing. Regardless, Tennessee should not be 8-3. It just shouldn't. It should be 10-1, 9-2. If Tennessee had just won one more game, this game almost then becomes a play-in game for the college football playoff. A Tennessee-Vanderbilt game at the end of the season as a play-in game for the CFP, my goodness, how fun would that be? Now, again, if you're a Tennessee fan, you don't like that because you're used to, you're used to the holidays and you're used to Thanksgiving week and you have a nice meal. Used to be Kentucky, now it's Vandy. But regardless, it's the same thing. You're used to having a nice Thursday, Thanksgiving with your family. Watch some ball Friday, do a little shopping if the wife makes you go shopping or whatever, do that. Or again, hey, this is 2025. Maybe the husband makes you go shopping. Who knows? Point is, then your Saturday, you get to watch Tennessee beat the sun out of Vanderbilt. And that's just part of the holiday tradition. And now, well, it's a little more uncomfortable. And I get that that's not fun. I think it's awesome. I think it's fun. And it'd be a lot more enjoyable if Tennessee were the 10-1 or 9-2 football team that it should be right now. But it's not. Can't change that. It is what it is. Vandy, however, is 9-2. Vandy could, if Vandy wins in Knoxville, it will have at least a puncher's chance of being in the field. I don't think Tennessee has the resume, even with the win this week, to get in. I just don't see that happening. And there are others too, Heather Dennis. There's others who out there who agree with that. And there are some people, I think technically they're saying 1% chance. So again, it's possible, but not very likely. Tennessee would have to win by a lot of points, and then there would have to be chaos around the country. And even then, a lot of other 3-loss teams, I think, will have at least 1 or 2 better wins than Tennessee does. So, but if you're Tennessee, you can keep Vanderbilt out of the playoff, and that's something tangible. If you're Tennessee and you're a Tennessee fan and you're sick, you're just sick at the way this season has gone because you just know it's right there for the playoff. It was there for the taking, and you didn't get it. So it's not going to be an enjoyable football offseason. It's not going to be a super fun one probably, but it doesn't have to be a bad one. And if you can end the regular season by taking the most divisive Vanderbilt football player probably in history, the most polarizing, and get him in your yard, bloody his nose, and keep him out of the playoff, I mean, if you're a competitor, you got to be relishing that. If you're any kind of a competitor, if you're any kind of a serious person, and you take this seriously, that's pretty fun, isn't it? Imagine, and it's also funny because he's not like 6'5" or 6'6". He's like, I don't know what they list him as. He ain't 6 feet tall. But he's making all these plays. He's an impressive player. He really is. Willie Martinez, Tennessee's defensive backs coach, today called him an elite quarterback. And at the college level, he absolutely is that. He's not perfect, but look at what he does running the ball. Look at what he does throwing it. Look at the big plays, 3rd downs, 4th downs he's had in his career. Look at where Vanderbilt as a program has gotten with him pulling the strings. Like you raise the floor of that program. You've done something. He's good. He's very, very good. He's a great college football player. But he's also a divisive one. And if you can end this season, the regular season, by doing that to him, I mean, you got to enjoy that a little bit. You have to. I'll say this. Coaches these days are so paranoid about bulletin boards. And I really like the fact that Vandy has pretty much just let Diego Pavia be himself. They've just let him go out there and say whatever he wants for the most part. I don't know what they're telling him behind the scenes, but publicly they ain't correcting him. Publicly they ain't punishing him. They're just saying, all right, go back it up, big guy. They let him do it. And he said some things that I'm certain have been played on a loop in Tennessee's facility this week. I'm sure they have. But there's part of me. This will seem like I am defending Clark Lee and Vanderbilt. I'm not doing that. But I do believe this. What I'm about to tell you, I do believe. I don't think that Clark Lee telling Diego Pavia that he didn't want him to play extra series last week because he needs him healthy for the playoffs. I don't think that's the same thing as Clark Lee guaranteeing that Vandy's going to beat Tennessee. I get why you might think that. And I guess in this world, certainly that qualifies. The threshold for what can go on a bulletin board, so much smaller than it used to be. Like, you do anything. It's why coaches, it's why sports information directors, it's why they monitor and they hover around every interview that you do unless it's NIL related and they can't get near it. If it's on their time, a player is going to be wearing team-issued gear. He's going to be in a controlled environment where everybody can hear everything that he says and they can record everything he says because they don't want things on a bulletin board. And they want to protect their brand. Which, I mean, fair enough. Fair enough. It's a little silly, though. It's a little silly. But I don't think, if we're reaching a point where we're saying Tennessee needs to take it personally, that Clark Lee told Diego Pavia that he needs to be healthy for the playoffs. He wants him healthy for the playoffs. I don't think that's him saying, hey, guys, I guarantee you, everybody, y'all, we're going to beat Tennessee. I don't think it's the same thing. I think that's a bit of a reach. Used to be like was an old Inspector Gadget. Although now I have to be careful every time I'm making any references in this building because there are so many people younger than me here who just don't know what anything is. Made a Doogie Howser reference this week, and I got looked at like I had just come down from Mars and was speaking some language no one had understood.
Like I'm looking at you right now.
Yes, that's how they were looking. Like you don't know who that Neil Patrick Harris, breakout role. You don't remember this? And then Tom's like, dude, that was like, what, like early mid 90s? I was like, yeah. Oh, that's right. Some of y'all in here weren't born yet, were you? That makes you feel super old. Between that and talking about the last time Tennessee beat Florida in the Swamp, was in a room with a couple colleagues, one who said I was 2 years old when it happened, the other said I was 2 months old when it happened. And I have to go, I covered the game. I mean, I was, around 20 years old, but I covered the game. I was down there. I remember it. Wild to think about that. I could not legally buy beer, and I'll state that legally. I was not allowed to do it. Legally, at the time, not allowed legally to buy it. But it makes you feel old. But the way that we are micromanaging this whole don't say anything that's going to irritate the other team, it's just, guys, is this what we're going to take micromanaging? Is this what we're going to do now? I guess it is, but that stuff doesn't matter once the ball's kicked off. I don't think anything that Diego Pavia said is going to make Tennessee get to him on a play where they wouldn't have if he hadn't said anything. I don't think that, like, in the third quarter or fourth quarter, Josh Josephs is super tired. He's a little dinged up. Something's been bothering him. But he's going to remember that Diego Pavia said Vandy's going to beat Tennessee back in the summer, and they're going to change the whole rivalry. And that gives him just this will to summon the courage and the strength within himself, the speed to get to the quarterback when he normally wouldn't have done it. He would have been a step off. But because of those things that Pavia said, oh, he's there now. When you think about it like that, you realize it's a little bit silly. I think you should anyway. It's a little bit silly. Maybe not all the way silly, but a little bit silly. But to think about that, how enjoyable it's been, like the shock value of seeing a Vanderbilt quarterback become the biggest loudmouth in college football. When you think historically about this, and I mean historically, like, again, anything after like 1930, to think that at any point, I remember, honestly, for years, when Vandy's best player was the punter. And hey, punters are people too. But those Bill Marin Angel eras and all that, like, I remember that stuff. And they were in on the joke themselves, which made it even funnier. But I kind of like that now you've got a really just polarizing, loudmouth, love him or hate him guy being Vanderbilt's quarterback. I think it's fun because the way he puts himself out there, and by the way, I do appreciate people who put themselves out there. I think I'm well known for that. I think I live life pretty publicly anyway. And I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I think if you cover this stuff, you ought to be as public as you want these guys that you cover to be. And just be honest. But for him to be so polarizing, either way, like you've got a guy being Vanderbilt's quarterback. So this would be like Babe Ruth in the World Series back in the day in Wrigley Field. This would be like calling his shot, but not just saying I'm going to hit it over the fence, saying I'm going to hit it 700 feet. That's the equivalent, basically, of a Vanderbilt quarterback saying, oh, we can win a national championship here. We're going to beat Tennessee and change that rivalry here. Like taking the stuff that you would say normally only to your own teammates and just throwing it out there publicly. You have a guy who's made one of the best called shots ever, or a guy who will become a punchline. And that's fun. When you think about that, that to me that sounds fun, man. You can be either a guy who has gone out there and just called the most just ridiculous shot and then hit it. Like those old Bird Magic commercials. I can hit it, off the scoreboard, off this chair, off that wall, one bounce on the floor and in. Like those old silly McDonald's commercials with Bird and Magic back in the day. And this is like that. A Vanderbilt quarterback doing this. That's what this is. And man, that's fun. Because it's different. And it's wild. It's preposterously wild. And if you're Tennessee, you ought to love it. Because you get an ability, from your point of view, to put somebody in their place and have as much fun as you'll ever have doing it. Like I imagine if I play for Tennessee, and I don't, by the way, just for the record, I don't. I think we all know that, but I don't. If I play for Tennessee and Diego Pavia had said the things that he is saying, beating him and taunting him would not be the same as like winning an SEC title or getting to the playoff or certainly not winning a natty. But by God, it might be the closest fun you can have to that. Really. So I love this from an objective point of view. You as a Tennessee fan, I'm not going to tell you what to think because that's not my job. But I would imagine I could see the argument of how fun that is. And if I'm a player, oh man, I get the chance to silence that guy. I get the chance to shut that guy up. Oh, chef's kiss. What an opportunity. Delicious. I think it's fun. Sports has to have spite. I think it does. For sports to be at its highest level, I think there's got to be a little spite involved. I think there has to be. And there'll be people of a certain generation who don't like that and won't like that. And I get it, right? The Barry Sanders school. No matter how ridiculously awesome you do at a play, just hand the ball back to the ref, whatever. I don't ever flip a bat. I get it. But that stuff just doesn't move the meter for me. Like I respect it. I respect a good professional. But it's much more enjoyable, in my opinion, when you've got a little bit of bile in there. You got a little bit of good old, clean old-fashioned hate in there. I'll never forget my old boss, Shannon Terry. Loved the guy. Loved working for him. He said something that years ago stuck with me. And it was that everybody's got to have a nemesis. And I'm only saying this publicly because he's publicly used the expression himself, so I'm not airing laundry there. This is something that the man says. He says it, and proudly says it, and I think should. But things just mean a little bit more when you really have a nemesis. it's great to win. And the joy of winning should be enough pure ecstasy on its own. And it can be, and that's fine. But I think it means just a little bit more when you winning means your nemesis doesn't. Isn't that what rivalries are? Can we all not sit here and just admit that the biggest loudmouth in college football being Vanderbilt's quarterback is awesome? It's hilarious. Genuinely hilarious. And on Saturday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern, well, they say 3:30. It'll probably be like 3:37, 3:42, something like that. That's what it usually is. But you're in the ballpark anyway. Watching Tennessee, if it's able to win that game, to sack that guy, to hit that guy, to beat that guy. I mean, won't that be really fun? If you're a Tennessee fan and you can hit this guy or that guy, and this guy runs his mouth and this one doesn't, it's more fun to hit the guy who runs his mouth. That's so much more fun, I think. That adds a little bit of something to me for the game. Which, by the way, I think Tennessee's still a 2.5-point favorite. I think it opened around like 5, and now it's down to 2.5, which makes sense. Because this is, I mean, it's not a perfect Vanderbilt team. The defensive stop rate is not great, even though Clark Lee's a really good defensive coach. Always has been. Not as many. They got athletes there, but they're not great defensively. They make some big plays, but they're not great. Neither is Tennessee, as we all know. But they've got some holes there. But this is a very good football team. No matter what uniform this team is wearing, this team can play ball. And it's the best Vanderbilt team I've seen. And so I think that's good in your mind to be like, hey, disregard kind of the uniform you're looking at and just kind of see reality, which is that's a good football team. If Tennessee wins that game on Saturday, it will be by far the best win Tennessee's had this season. I mean, it's not even winning at Florida historically for Tennessee. It's awesome. And for Tennessee, that's a big deal. And it doesn't happen enough to just dismiss it when it does. But this would be the best win Tennessee's had by a wide margin this season if it beats Vanderbilt, just in terms of the quality of the team that it beat. Now, Florida is the best 8-loss football team that I think I've ever seen in terms of talent. They've played one of the most ridiculous schedules I've ever seen, but they got some dudes. And really only one game this season before Saturday had anybody just trucked Florida, and Tennessee just trucked them. It was a good win. This would be a better one because there's a difference in what I think is a pretty good 8-loss football team and then just genuinely a good 9-win football team. There's a lot of difference there. That'd be a really good win for Tennessee. Not enough to get in the playoffs, but a good win. And if you wonder who's picking some of these things, Herb Street's not calling the game on Saturday. He'll be at the Iron Bowl, which, yeah, I guess makes sense. So Tennessee is going to have one of my favorite guys in the business, Tom Hart, calling the game. Former Vanderbilt quarterback Jordan Rogers also calling the game with him, as usual. That's their normal crew. I'm sure Tennessee fans are going to love hearing from Vandy's quarterback for 3 hours during that game. To which a Vanderbilt fan could then say, I've been listening to Peyton Manning for 30 years. So deal with it. And then the awesome Cole Kubelik down there on the sideline, who gives an element to this game when they're calling games. Him playing offensive line. There's analysis he can do during a game that really a lot of other people don't do because most people, not all, but most people who follow football know less about the offensive line and the line of scrimmage than anywhere else on the field. And that's Cole's world. So he can tell you what's going on. and how important it is. And that's awesome because you don't normally get that a lot during games. And I think Cole's great. I do a show all the time. We're going to have him on this program at some point, certainly. Really good dude. We'll probably have all those guys on the show at some point. Certainly Tommy Hart. I'm going to drive to Tommy Hart's house, yell at him if he doesn't come on the program. One of my favorite guys. And used to be the voice of the Smokies, by the way. He has a soft spot for this area as a result. He's a journalist, though, professional. And he went to Mizzou, but he's got a soft spot for this area. But Kirk Herbstreit, because he's not doing the game, he's not calling it. He can give a prediction. He's already come out and said he thinks Tennessee wins. But he expects a lot of points. And what's the over-under? 64.5. So he's expecting that to be over that. I'm not giving gambling advice. I don't do that. I'm just telling you what he said. So he's got Tennessee winning the game. I do have Tennessee winning the game. Of course, what does that matter? I said last week Tennessee would lose because I always pick Tennessee to lose in Gainesville. And if you remember the program yesterday, Elijah Nixon got to come on here and, laugh a little bit because he guaranteed all week a double-digit Tennessee win and 0 turnovers from Joey Aguilar. And I just laughed in his face in this room, in that studio down there, in our office over there, in text messages, in the car. I laughed at him in several locations for that prediction. I said, you are out of your mind. Guess what, folks? He was 2 for 2. So, victors get the spoils. Firm policy here at 10-3. So he got to come in here yesterday and graciously admit he was right and have me admit he was right because he was. So when I say I'm picking Tennessee to win this game, you better hope I'm smarter than I was last week. But what's funny, I think the next time Tennessee goes down to Gainesville, I guess that'll be 2029 if I remember correctly, I'll probably pick Tennessee to lose again because I've seen Tennessee going down to that stadium. Bad things usually happen. And enough bad things have happened over enough years that in different ways with different people involved that I just have a super hard time picking anything other than Tennessee loss there. But maybe that's also clouding my judgment this week because I cannot remember a time that I've ever picked Vanderbilt to beat Tennessee. I think maybe one year I picked Kentucky to beat Tennessee. I think one year I did that. But I don't think I've ever done it, even those James Franklin years. I have to go back and look. I need to go back and I don't want to be speaking out of turn here. I may have actually said that. But I don't think that I've ever picked Vanderbilt to beat Tennessee. I'm not doing it this week either. So am I letting history cloud that again? Maybe. Because I'll tell you, I think it's going to be a close game. And what do you normally predict in a close game? It's not foolproof. But when it's a close game, you often look at who's better at quarterback, who's better at kicker. Because, it comes down to a lot of things, and it's not just about the quarterback and the kicker. But the quarterback's got the ball in his hands every play, unless it's a wildcat. And then it's just a different quarterback. It's a running back or somebody, or a receiver with the ball. And these games often come down to kicks. So, who's better at quarterback? Who's better at kicker? I like Joey Aguilar a lot. But there's a couple years worth, with a couple of exceptions. This year at Bama, Pavia melted down a little bit, had some bad throws and bad spots or bad moments, fumbled. But historically, he's been pretty good in those situations. And we've not seen a lot of that with Tennessee go great this year. In fairness, Georgia, Aguilar did put the offense in some pretty good situations late in the game to make some plays to win it. A couple big throws, took care of it. But what did that lead to? It leads to question number 2, who's better at kicker? Maxie Gilbert's a really talented kid. Huge leg, big leg. had a good freshman season. Still, right now, he's one of historically the more accurate kickers in Tennessee's history. But there have been some big misses in there in big spots. And so if it comes down to that, boy, it'd be a great story. It'd be a great story if that came down to a kick Max Gilbert needed to make and he made it. I don't think he'll ever forget that moment against Georgia. I don't think he'll ever. There's parts of you as a competitor that, listen, you can't forget that happened, so you have to use it as fuel. You have to use it as something that motivates you for the future, because you're not going to. I mean, maybe there's a sports psychologist or psychiatrist somewhere good enough to get you to put that in a box and forget it. I don't see how it's possible. As a competitor in a moment like that, you're not going to forget that. Your whole life. You'll be 80, 90 years old, wake up in the middle of the night, thinking about that, probably. But what you can do is move past it. And you can use it as the low point from which you built yourself. And if he could change the trajectory of things by making a kick to win this game, I think it'd be kind of cool. Now, if this game, if Tennessee, it's tied or Tennessee's down by 1 or 2, and he's standing over a 45-yard field goal with 3 seconds left, am I going to feel great about that right now? Doesn't matter what I think, but I don't know how I'd feel great. But what would be great is if he went there and produced and did that. That'd be cool. But I'm sitting there thinking this is going to be a close game. And I'm picking Tennessee to win it, even though I don't know that Tennessee's better at either quarterback or kicker. So, again, it's a little kind of wishy-washy. I get that. So I am probably letting history cloud this a little bit. But I also do think that Illinois will help Tennessee in a big way in this game. Because while I don't think Diego Pavia's offseason comments and general demeanor, I don't think that it will make Tennessee play better, because I don't think that stuff generally means anything, really. Again, a lot of people feel differently, and coaches love it on bulletin boards. I don't think it matters, but some people do. But what it absolutely does affect is the crowd. And they're going to be all over Pavia for 60 minutes. Unless Vandy has like a 21-0 lead in the second quarter, that crowd's going to be loud. It's going to be, I think you could fairly call it verbally abusive toward him at times. And I think that's where things could have an impact. So maybe this is how I'm talking myself into the prediction that I've made, which is that I think Tennessee wins a close game. And normally I'll wait until Friday to make predictions of games, just because that's just kind of what I've always done. Where I used to work, we would wait until Friday to put up the predictions, and that's just, people knew that lunchtime Friday, flip open your phone, your laptop, your tablet, and you can get the predictions. And that's what I'll do a lot here too, for the most part. But I just took these two games and made an exception. And I just said last week from the very top, hey, I think Tennessee loses in Gainesville, and I think Tennessee beats Vandy at Neyland. 0 for 1 so far. I think Tennessee fans would like me to be 1-1 after this week, because if I'm 0-2, that means Tennessee lost to Vanderbilt. And that means Vanderbilt might be in the college football playoff. And if you're Tennessee, you just can't have that. I can sit here and say how neat it is, objectively, for Vandy to be relevant. I think that maybe actually inspires Tennessee to be better in some ways. I think rising tides lift all boats. And if you have to compete also against a team like Vanderbilt, if it becomes where Vandy's pretty good most years, then I think that sharpens you, if you're a competitor, to be a little better. And maybe that helps you. Maybe when you're worried about teams like Vandy catching you from behind, that spurs you a little better to go get the teams that are above you, the Georgias of the world, the Ohio States of the world. Maybe. But I can sit here and say that it's great for Tennessee or great for college football for Vandy to be interesting. If you're a Tennessee fan, you just don't want it. You're used to life being a certain type of way. Like the college baseball world for a while was really comfortable with Tennessee not being a factor because the SEC was brutal enough and Tennessee was maybe one team that, other than 3 times in 10 years in the Delmonico era, you didn't really have to worry about them being really good. And now Tennessee pops up as this upstart, winning games, getting in your face, being dynamic. You want to watch them when they're playing, either because you hate them or you love them, but you're interested. Either way, you're interested. Sounds a little bit like Diego Pavia, doesn't it? Doesn't it? I mean, it does. And then the parallels continue because if you're Tennessee, you got to prove now that you are not just a one-coach program in baseball. You got to prove that with Elander and with all these big recruits, you just keep the train rolling. People will doubt you until you go out there and prove it. Well, the second that Pavia leaves Vandy, people are going to do the same thing. Oh, this is just a flash in the pan. It won't happen again. And they'll be out to prove that it is. But you see some of the parallels here. So I think it's, if you're going to sit there and say that, like, the rise of Tennessee baseball was neat, then I think what's gone on with Vandy in football the past couple of years, there's some parallels there that I think it's a little bit hypocritical to say it's not sort of neat. But if you're Tennessee, that doesn't mean that you like it or you want it or you accept it, because you don't. And if you could just make sure that Vandy doesn't get in that college football playoff pants party, then I think that's gives you a little more comfort heading into the offseason. I think if you lose this game and then Vandy, first off, if you lose it and then Vandy still doesn't get in the playoff, you're going to laugh a little. But if you lose this game and that's what tips the scales to get Vandy in the college football playoff, that no one around here, Tennessee fans are really not going to enjoy that offseason, and there's going to be a little bit of a mood about that, and I could see Heupel being a little bristly going into next season and having a little bit of edge to him, and I could just see that just kind of souring the mood around here a little bit. But if you can avoid that, great. Plus, you can shut up the loudest mouth probably right now in college football. So I think it's fun on a lot of levels. I don't think I've ever been this excited about a Tennessee-Vanderbilt game. I just don't think it's – I never thought that, honestly, that it would be – it's always possible, but I never thought it was likely that there would be a Tennessee-Vandy football game with this kind of ramifications on it. And my goodness, if Tennessee had just won one more game this season, how huge would that be? I mean, you probably wouldn't have like game day here because it's Michigan and Ohio State and the world has to stop when they're playing no matter what. But like, hey, even still, you got SEC Nation coming here. I mean, listen, this is, for me, fun. I hope for you it's fun too. And I bet that in that game, Needham will be about as loud as it has ever been for a Tennessee-Vandy game. And if Tennessee gets off to a good start, I think it could get really loud in there. Almost, I don't know if you can get dark mode loud because sometimes there's just a noise level that you can reach at night that you can't reach during the day. I don't know if that's just the emotions or the fact that you've had more time during the day to lubricate for a night game to get yourself ready to go, where you don't really care what you say and how loud it is. But I think it'll be as loud. If Tennessee gets off to a good start, I think it'll be as loud in that place as it's ever been for a Tennessee Vandy game. And that's despite the students being out of town, by the way. Because that's always something that hangs over this game, is that the student section isn't always what it normally is because, guys, they're at home. Some of them stay. Some of them come back in time for the game. But it's always a little bit of a damper on this game in that way. So we'll see what the student section looks like. We'll see what the crowd looks like. It's going to be full. It's sold out. But I think it's kind of fun that a Tennessee-Vanderbilt game will be that loud. I think it's kind of fun that a Tennessee-Vanderbilt game will mean as much as it does. And I'm excited about that. I hope you're excited about it too. We'll have much more tomorrow. Tennessee is playing, obviously, in just about, 2 hours. Tennessee plays Houston basketball. It's a big game. We'll be wrapping that up tomorrow. We'll have more to talk about there. A couple other little odds and ends that I didn't get to today that I will get to tomorrow because I didn't get to them today. Some stuff from Tennessee secondary coach Willie Martinez, Tennessee tight ends coach Alex Ablin. There'll be a lot of things that we can get to the next couple of days that we didn't get to today. And also, send me questions on social media because we're putting in the can for Thursday and Friday. We're putting in the can some mailbag episodes because I want y'all to have fresh content. We're going to have it. We're going to have fresh content. But go send me stuff on the socials at Wes Rucker TBA for now. You can send it also on Blue Sky if you're there. Just Wes Rucker on there. However you want to. Reply to any of those messages that I send on X or Blue Sky. Get your questions in there. We'll answer them. We'll have fun doing it. Have a relaxed fit edition, even though that's sort of every day what we are here anyway. So, but we'll have that for the next couple days. If you're going on the road, please be safe during this holiday season. Don't drink and drive. Don't be a jerk who does that. Get an Uber. Get a DD. Have fun. Enjoy your family. Enjoy your turkey. Hug them. And then everybody gather around and come back and watch 10 at 3 tomorrow. Guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you in about 23 hours.